Hey YouTube, it's Little Rocker Cutie 2005, also known as Andre here. Chilling with the awesome Buffyxenaman, also known as Chris. And if you saw our last video, we were working on my VHS collection. And before it cut off, I was about to show you another James Bond movie. So I think this time it'll be me starting. And I'm going to start, as I said, with the man with the golden gun. Now, this is another one I don't know much about, but I do know that Christopher Lee is the main villain. He's like the man with the golden gun, and it's got the little dude from Fantasy Island. He's like a villain too. The one thing I remember about, well, not exactly about this movie, but the GoldenEye game was in the multiplayer. I think if you beat the game on like expert or got like 100% or something like that, you could get the golden gun for multiplayer or single player. I'm not too sure which, but I was never able to get the golden gun. People I played with did, killed me with it, pissed me off.
Hair. The musical about hair. The song Age of Aquarius comes from this.
I still have never seen that movie, and Mom says that is so good.
I saw bits and pieces. I think the song Sodomy's on here.
It is.
They sing a song about sodomy.
They talk about that on I Love the 70s.
Yeah. But Age of Aquarius is in this one.
Yeah, but it's probably not the version everybody knows.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, I only see bits and pieces of it.
Right, well, when you think about it, that song was really turned into a hit by the Fifth Dimension when the Broadway musical came out.
I don't know. I just like the song. I don't give a shit what how it got famous.
Well, it is a good song.
Yep.
Next up for me, probably one of the more ridiculous 007 movies, is Moonraker. Now, this is the one, that had James Bond in outer space. This came out in '79, same year as Alien, so you had the craze of going into outer space. And I remember, the one thing I remember about this one is the guy named Jaws. He was this dude with metal teeth. If you've seen this movie, then you know about him. But I haven't had a chance to really get into the Roger Moore era yet because I'm still trying to work through the Sean Connery era. Plus, there's like 3 or 4 that I'm missing, so having a hard time finding them. But if I find them, they will be in a later update, and maybe one of these days I'll do a series of Bond reviews. Who knows?
Chicago. It's the musical about this lady who killed her boyfriend, such a get her start in Hollywood, and doesn't end. Ends up going to prison with this other star who killed her sister and her husband.
Yep.
And it's not too bad of a musical.
Kira turned me on to that movie.
It has like Renee Zellweger, Richard Gere,
Catherine Zeta-Jones, Queen Latifah's in there.
Yeah. It's not too bad. Just some good moments. Like one of the good songs there is I Didn't Do It.
Which one?
Let's sing about their crimes.
Oh, the Soulbox Tango.
Yeah.
He had it coming. He had it coming.
I just remember the one about the lady who said, yeah, he ran to my knife.
Yeah. He ran into my knife 10 times.
And the Polish lady, by the way, this is a translation of it. She's saying she found her boyfriend dead, and she just found the body, and she got blamed. So.
Now I have another James Bond movie. Once again, another one I've never seen, but it's For Your Eyes Only. Now, what I do know about this movie, once again, it's not much, because as I've said, I started out with the Pierce Brosnan era. So I didn't really go back and watch any of the earlier ones at the time, but I do remember the song by Sheena Easton because when I was younger, My mom used to play that song to death. Do not ask me why. I mean, I don't know. I guess she considers it a love song. I, myself, consider it more of a James Bond theme. I mean, I associate it more with, you know, James Bond than wanting to be with someone.
The Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Classic, cult classic.
Arguably,
Can't go wrong with it.
It's like probably the best cult classic out there. I just, you know, every song, you know, who's in it, you know, the humor.
Yeah.
You know the midnight showings. This is like probably Susan Sarandon. Is that right?
It was one of Susan Sarandon's first roles, and it was Tim Curry's debut.
Well, yeah. Did you know Tim Curry was a minister and he was a minister?
What, before he became an actor?
Yeah. I think it's not the Navy. He was a minister and Navy guy. I read that in his biography.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Although, he's been good after this. So Susan Sarandon. But, yeah, this is a freaking awesome movie. It seems like every year they release a different edition of it. Different covers and all that crap.
I got that one from a friend of mine. That's actually the original VHS cover, but it's not the original print.
Right. So, awesome movie, baby. They said a soundtrack too. That's awesome too.
Do I need to reburn that for you again?
No, I still have it.
Oh.
You owe me Shock Tribute though.
Oh, that's right. That's on my computer. I keep forgetting. Next up, I'm continuing my James Bond theme with another one I haven't seen. This is Octopussy. Now, I think this one takes him, well, it says it takes him across Cuba, Germany, and India to the secluded palace of the Queen of the Octopus cult. Now, this, I don't know, it sounds kind of interesting to me. I mean, I've never been one to, I don't know, diss on James Bond because I like the series, even though I haven't seen them all. I mean, they're just fun movies. They're enjoyable. They're entertaining. I mean, what else could you want from a movie but to sit in a theater or in your own home and be entertained for 2 hours?
Pink Floyd, The Wall.
That is a cult classic.
I've never seen it yet, so.
It's basically the Wall album set to like an entire theme about this rock star. But all the music in the movie is actually is the studio versions from the album. But it's pretty good. It mixes live action with animation, kind of like Ralph Bakshi used to do. Continuing the James Bond theme for me, I have Roger Moore's final outing in A View to a Kill. Now, this one I do know a tiny bit about because of Christopher Walken being the villain, and I think it had the singer, yeah, this does have the singer Grace Jones as Christopher Walken's partner in crime, and this one also had a pretty good theme song by Duran Duran. And, you know, most of us who grew up in the 80s, we all know of Duran Duran. Some of us more than others. I mean, I remember this song, you know, Hungry Like the Wolf, a lot of the classics. If I could find their greatest hits on CD, that'd be good enough for me. But that's View to a Kill.
Double Jeopardy.
Oh, good movie.
I didn't care for it.
How come?
I just didn't really find it interesting.
Huh.
It wasn't really interesting to me.
I don't know. I got it because I liked at the time I liked Ashley Judd, and of course Tommy Lee Jones. He's one of my favorite actors.
This Double Jeopardy.
A little bit of trivia: the husband who frames Ashley Judd for murder is actually the same. I don't know if I'd call him an asshole, but I guess you could. He's the same asshole from Disturbing Behavior, performing experiments and turning all the oh shoot, academically challenged, I guess, and the straight A students. I'd have to go back and watch Disturbing Behavior again, but that's one I enjoy, so I honestly wouldn't mind going back and watching it again. Same thing with Double Jeopardy. I had a couple more James Bond movies here. The only Timothy Dalton one I have, this is License to Kill. Now, in my opinion, and based on what I've heard, Timothy Dalton was probably the worst James Bond, and I guess you could say he's the guy who screwed Pierce Brosnan out of doing The Living Daylights, because the story goes Pierce Brosnan's contract was running out on Remington Steele, and he had like a certain amount of days left before he could actually accept the role. Well, on the last day, like hours before his contract expired, the NBC renewed it, but they didn't bring back Remington Steele, so Pierce Brosnan got kind of screwed on both ends from, you know, the company and from NBC. But I think, my personal opinion, he got to make up for it with GoldenEye.
The Client.
Oh, that's a good one.
I don't think I'm gonna watch this. I know the storyline and all that stuff about this 11-year-old who goes to this lawyer and about a hitman.
Yeah, he saw a mob hit.
Yeah, and I don't know. I keep looking for the hitman, but it's not really my thing.
That's one of them I get into. I like some of them, like, I don't know what you call them, like thrillers, or I don't know if it's really like a courtroom thing.
Well, let's say mix and match.
Yeah. I have two more James Bond movies, but they're from the Pierce Brosnan era. This is Tomorrow Never Dies, which was his follow-up to GoldenEye. Now, I have seen this one, and it's about this British warship that was destroyed in Chinese waters, and 007 finds out about this. He's like an industrialist because he runs this newspaper, and it's like a global empire, and he can like change the news to whatever he wants to cause panic in people. And it's also got a pre-Desperate Housewives Terry Hatcher as Bond's love interest, and then I think this was probably the first, I want to say, I don't know if you'd call these movies American or British, but it was the first like English-speaking movie for Michelle Yeoh, who we would later see in stuff like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and Super Cop with Jackie Chan. But this one was really fun, and this one had another theme song I liked, performed by Sheryl Crow, of course, a song called Tomorrow Never Dies, and it just takes you right into the movie. I mean, the opening alone is just phenomenal. I think this was probably Pierce Brosnan's best one next to GoldenEye.
What year did that come out?
Tomorrow Never Dies. 97. GoldenEye came out in 95.
So it's probably around the time she was doing Lewis and Clark.
It might have been right after Lois and Clark ended.
That show was on since like like 5 seasons.
Like 93 or 94.
Yeah, so it was probably still on when that was made.
Could have been. I don't know. I didn't follow that show.
I did. I did. It's been a while since I watched it. I used to watch it. My mom used to watch it. My sister had a crush on Dean Cain. Alright. Teaching Miss Tingle with a pre-Tom Cruise Katie Holmes.
Yep.
They just pretty much just teach her to the bitch, and they want her to be out of the way.
I think they want her out of the way or something like that, or they want her to change Katie Holmes' grade. The original title of this movie was actually Killing Mrs. Tingle, and Kevin Williamson was working on this before he started working on Scream, and he was basically trying to get this sold, but then Scream took off, and he didn't get to do this until probably like...
She falsely accused her of cheating.
That's it. But what I was going to say is that Kevin Williamson was directing this in '99, so he didn't have time to really write a full version of Scream 3, which is why the writer of that one, Aaron Kruger, he had to work from an early draft that Kevin Williamson was working on, which... And I have to dive into Scream for a minute. You know, Scream 3, great way to end the original trilogy, but in my opinion, the worst of the series because it wasn't written by Kevin Williamson. Let's go. And my last James Bond title. This is one that was one of my favorites for a while, but The World Is Not Enough. Now, this one... I have seen this a few times because, of course, Pierce Brosnan. And this one, it's about this terrorist who has a brain-lodged bullet that makes him not feel pain. And he wants to take control of the world's oil supply. And he has help from this oil heiress and a scientist played by Denise Richards, who I think did a pretty good job in this, and it did have some great action scenes, including the opening with the jet boat, and I think this was actually the last time. This was the second and last time that you see Robbie Coltrane in the series. Robbie Coltrane, as you all know, Rubius Hagrid in the Harry Potter movies, but he was also in this and Goldeneye as one of James Bond's informants, which now I find that pretty interesting. I think it's kind of cool that he could go from James Bond movies to Harry Potter. I mean, what kind of a great leap is that? I don't know. What do you think on that subject?
It doesn't surprise me.
You think it's kind of a decent leap to go from like James Bond to something? I mean, James Bond is iconic. We all know that, but I mean, the past 10, 11 years, Harry Potter's become just as iconic.
Yeah, it has. She's all that with Brendan Fraser and whoever else.
Freddie Prinze Jr.
Freddie Prinze Jr. and Rachel Lee Cook. What? Why did you choke in your pop when I said that?
Because you said Brendan Fraser and I was trying to correct you.
Oh. That's a little dramatic, don't you think?
I was also trying to say that that's one of my favorites.
Oh, okay. Now, I guess they're making a bet to make this unpopular girl popular?
Yeah. So. Freddie Prinze Jr. and Paul Walker, they make this bet that they can't turn... Freddie Prinze Jr. can't turn Rachel Lee Cook into the prom queen. And of course he does, ends up falling in love with her, all that, the whole 9 yards.
So, typical teen movie.
Pretty much. Basically Pretty Woman for a younger crowd. Minus the fact that...
She's not a prostitute?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
I was going to say whore, but yeah, prostitute.
Alright, I'm getting into another stack here. First up, I have the ever popular classic Speed. Now, I know Chris here isn't a big Keanu Reeves fan. Right. Never has been for as long as I've known him.
I'm not a big Speed fan either.
I know, that's why I've never gotten you to watch it.
I watched it once by myself.
But this is one of those action movies that really got me back into the movies. I mean, people like I said, Keanu Reeves, this was before The Matrix, and, you know, this is a movie that made Sandra Bullock a huge star. You know, Dennis Hopper, great performance as the villain once again, and then you've got, Jeff Daniels. He's in here as one of Keanu Reeves' partners, and I won't give away anything if you haven't seen this movie yet, but if you haven't seen this movie, have you been living under a rock? This movie,
or have common sense. Sorry, I have to say it. It has to be said. Go on. Go on.
This movie appeals to most action fans, okay? Is what I was trying to get at.
Bring it on.
Ah, another one I liked from high school.
The only reason I watched it was Elijah Dushku.
I liked her, and I liked Kirsten Dunst, and then that girl, Gabrielle Union.
Let's see, wasn't she one that died? No, she wasn't. Was she?
No.
That was some other girl.
Her.
Yeah.
The one from the group Black.
Yep, she got hit by a car last year.
Yeah, Gabrielle Union, she was the leader of that pack of cheerleaders. Because they were like from two rival schools, and the leader of the school that Kirsten Dunst cheerleads for was stealing these routines from, wasn't it like a school in Compton?
I guess so.
Like East Compton or something like that?
Something close to that.
But, and on to me. Another one of my favorites. This is The Net with Sandra Bullock. And it's about a computer expert and big old conspiracy. Because she has this client ask her to fix a video game, a computer game. And the client turns up dead, and Sandra Bullock's character ends up becoming wrapped up in this whole thing. There's people trying to kill her, and that her identity's been wiped out, and she's basically got to put a stop to it and get her life back. It's one of those that my grandma and I watched together, so it holds a special place in my heart. I know it's got a sequel, but I don't think I'll ever have it in my collection, because this is the one that really stuck with me. This was the one that I enjoyed as a kid, and I still enjoy it to this day. And it's just one of those movies that I love.
The circuit movies.
Oh!
Well, Johnny
How
Five.
fun are those?
Johnny Five Alive.
Number 5 is alive.
Truth be told, I prefer the first one over the second one.
They're both good in my opinion.
I don't know, this one, I was, you know.
I like part 2, but I don't like the ending.
And part 1, I loved it. Especially, he's learning shit, when he's learning stuff, and she said, I'm such an idiot.
Yeah, God, I am so stupid. He starts going, stupid, foolish, gullible, doltish, dumbbell, lame brain. Then she goes, shut up. He goes, shut up, silence, hush, sits on it, can it. She goes, boy, am I the jerk of the world, you're just programmed. He goes, jerk of the world, turkey, idiot, pain in the ass. Meanwhile, there's a dog standing there barking at him.
No, the shit scene. Oh, shit, I see no shit.
Yeah, no shit. Where's see shit? I couldn't watch those movies very much when I was a kid. The endings always made me cry.
They didn't make me.
They blow them up, or like in the first one when they blow him up, and then in part 2 they smash him up.
I never cried during those endings.
I was one of those overly sensitive kids, so.
What does that make me?
Next up I have here, this is Bulletproof Monk. It's got Chow Yun-fat and Sean William Scott, who we all know from the American Pie movies. Of course, Stifler. And it's actually a pretty decent kung fu movie. But I think that they could have done a tiny bit better with it. I think this is another one they had a music video director for. And it was pretty good. I mean, they mixed martial arts with guns. And, of course, Sean William Scott learning to become a martial artist and kick ass throughout the whole movie. It really held my attention. It was one that I enjoyed.
I enjoyed it too, but, you know, the ending I had iffies with.
I don't even remember the ending. It's been so long since I've seen it.
Oh, you want me to say it?
Go ahead.
No, it has a secret. He's the keeper with the secret of the formula for immortality.
Oh, that's right. Doesn't Chow Yun-fat end up dying and then...
No. know, he ends up getting old.
Oh yeah, and then the guardianship gets passed on to Sean William Scott, right?
And the girl.
Oh yeah,
It's like,
forgot about the girl.
And this thing, it's like I kind of saw that ending coming. It's like I like to see an ending not coming in.
Right.
I kind of saw that ending coming in. It's like I was like, it's turned out to be kind of a love story in the middle of it. I don't really hold my. It's like I didn't really buy it at all, really.
It's kind of like with Pearl Harbor. I don't buy the whole love triangle thing.
Right.
You know, some people don't buy the love story in Titanic. I fell for it hook, line, and sinker. Some people fall for the love story in Pearl Harbor. I didn't.
I didn't really watch Pearl Harbor. I tried to once and I fell asleep in it. That's like my sister owned it. She loves it.
That happened a couple times with me. I owned it for a while.
And with Titanic, I just like the historical stuff. But next one, Desperately Seeking Susan.
Now this is a classic, the debut role of Madonna, and we also have Rosanna Arquette, who she gets knocked on the head or something, or gets amnesia, doesn't she, and thinks she's Madonna's character.
I guess so. I never saw it.
It's been a while since I've seen it. I bought it because I liked it when I was younger.
I just heard of it. Like The Simpsons, I mean, wordplay of it on one of the Halloween specials. Desperately Seeking Xena. And Lucy Lawless did a cameo on that.
If you were to watch that, you'd see a pre-Roseanne Laurie Metcalf. Really?
I don't remember who she is now. It's early in the morning. Make me think.
Laurie Metcalf is Jackie.
What did you say? Did you just say Laurie Metcalf, aka Jackie? You know, early mornings make you go crazy.
Hey, early mornings make me go crazy too. This next one I got from my mom. It is Billy Jack. Now, from what I know about this, he is a half-breed Indian, ex-Green Beret, and he's protecting this school of hippies called the Freedom School. And this is just one of those movies. It's a kung fu movie, but it's not the kind of kung fu movie you'd think of. I mean, most people think kung fu, you know, you think Asian people. No. You watch this movie, the dude doing kung fu, white guy. Very, very interesting. And I don't know what else to say about it because I've never really had the chance to watch it.
Well, moving from Kung Fu to Roseanne the She-Devil. Love this movie. It tanked the box office, but it's an awesomely fucking movie.
It is!
Especially when she gets her revenge on her ex-husband.
Yep.
By taking away his, like, home,
career, family, freedom.
And what's the name of her assistant she had in there? Started the Rose thing?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I only know her as Frau from the Austin Powers movies.
She was also, I think she's also the director in NCIS, not the director, but the leader of the NCIS Los Angeles.
I've seen her on there too, but like I said, I only know her from the
Swartz?
Austin Powers movies.
Is this Swartz?
Where do you see that?
I'm guessing. It's started in this.
I don't know.
But they started the Rose Employment Agency for Women. And yeah, I love this movie. It's a funny movie.
I'll have to go on IMDb or something and look up her name, although I don't really put much trust in this site.
And Google is.
Next up, an all-time classic, A League of Their Own. Now, as you can see from the cover, this has Tom Hanks, Gina Davis, and Madonna, but there's also people in here like Rosie O'Donnell, and this movie, words can't describe it. It is just a super fun movie. It's based on a true story about the first ever women's professional baseball team, and Gina Davis, she's she gets recruited to join this league, and because she can play really good, and her sister is a pitcher, but Gina Davis's character won't go without her, so they both end up getting in the league, and they end up meeting Madonna and Rosie O'Donnell, who also make the same team they do, and it's just antics from there. I mean, Tom Hanks, I love Big, I love Turner and Hooch, all of Tom Hanks' classic comedies. You know, I've never seen Splash, I've never seen Bachelor Party, but I think for Tom Hanks comedies, this one and Turner and Hooch are my favorites.
Remember the prep school? They had to all have to wear these dresses, and
yes,
be feminine, and they hug to etiquette school.
Yeah. Every one of you on this team is going to learn how to be a lady. They're all looking at him like, what?
Well, is it one more like judging her makeup?
Yeah. What do you suggest? A lot of night games.
Yeah, I reckon that's when she got married.
Yeah.
A Few Good Men.
That's a classic.
Based on a true story.
It was really based on a true story?
Yeah. Except they alter some details.
Huh. I didn't know that. I just liked the movie.
Unsolved Mysteries did a story about, well, one guy went missing. He went insane. He went missing, but basically the guy of Unsolved Mysteries was involved in this.
Huh. But this movie, of course, as you could probably see on the cover, if you can push it up just a teeny bit.
Movement.
So it doesn't go out of focus. But you can see there's... Let me scooch up.
Tom Cruise.
Yep, Tom Cruise, Jack Nicholson, and Demi Moore. They're like the main three stars, but you've also got people like Kevin Bacon and Kiefer Sutherland in there. And and as he said, which I didn't know, it's based on a true story, but this is a really good courtroom movie. And I've never been big on courtroom movies, except To Kill a Mockingbird, but the whole thing about that one, it doesn't center around the courtroom. But A Few Good Men, a lot of it takes place in the courtroom. And the one scene I remember the most is Tom Cruise and Jack Nicholson. I want the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
Thank you.
I got that a teacher once. Didn't go over so well. When they want the truth, they really do want the truth.
Yeah. I quote Darlene, high school is nothing but learning lies and telling lies.
Amen, I guess.
Now this here is something that some of you might not have seen in a long time, but it is the special edition of the Star Wars trilogy. Now this isn't the version I wanted. I wanted the originals, but I found this in a resale shop. The lady wanted $15 for it, and she cut me a deal to $10. The tapes are pretty much all brand new, pretty much mint condition, but you get all three movies of the original trilogy, which are the ones I enjoy. You know, the prequels, I don't care for them. From what I've heard about episodes 7, 8, and 9, those aren't going to be as interesting unless they can get the original cast back from these movies. And if they don't get the original cast back, it ain't going to be worth my time, and I'm just going to stick with these.
I don't care for Star Wars. I never really was a big fan of those series.
I'm not the biggest fan, but
those fans are psychotic.
They are.
They get like people like going asking questions about random stuff, like what happened once.
They're like rabid dogs. They're worse than us Harry Potter fans.
Well, although I don't know how to go around with a broomstick and running around the gymnasium playing Quidditch.
Yeah, we do know someone that does that.
God, I want to hit him. I'm sorry. If I'm not going to stick a broom between my legs unless it flies. Right. I'm not going to roll a goddamn gym with a broom between my legs.
Right. And I mean, we're not the ones who sit there and argue every, like, illogical plot point from, like, each movie. Like, this, and this, or this shouldn't have happened, that shouldn't have happened, and so on and so on and so on.
Oh yeah, but then again, Darth Vader was picked up the #1 villain of all time. Like, fuck you! That's like, I can think of villains that can kick his ass.
And see, as I've said, I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan, but I'm going to make a reference to one of my favorite movies, and that's Clerks 2. And it's the scene where Randall is making fun of a Lord of the Rings geek. And he goes, I'm trying to remember how it goes. I think he says something like, there's only one return, and the name of the king is of the Jedi. Lord of the Rings geek goes, oh, Star Wars geek. And then, of course, it just escalates from there and turns into this hilarious scene. It's probably like one of my favorite parts of that movie.
Look at which Willow could kick his ass. That's all I have to say about that.
Who's?
Darth Vader's.
Oh, I agree.
People have seen Buffy Wick Witch Willow when she was evil, but it's very powerful. Almost destroyed the world.
The finale of season 6, for those of you that don't know.
She almost destroyed the world. She came this close. Just with the in crowd.
I watched this movie a couple times when it came out. I thought it was pretty interesting. It's from the director of Pet Sematary, and I don't really know what else to say about it, but it's one of them that was like a different kind of movie. It just looked really interesting to me, and I like those kind of movies that look different and interesting. Well, not so much art films. I mean, I can't get into the art films. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I don't know. Art films just bore me. I'll put it that way.
Or the art films, the plot of the art film is someone in the movie trying to make an art film.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this in crowd, I was never worried about being in the in crowd.
Hey, neither was I, so.
That's a fuck 'em.
That was our philosophy. Screw 'em.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, let's see here. Time for me to break into another stack here. If I can get it. I'll start off with some Van Damme movies. I got here probably one of my favorites. This is Kickboxer. Now, this actually came out, I think, right after Bloodsport, which is what put him on the map as like a martial arts good guy type action hero. When his first movie, No Retreat, No Surrender, had him cast as the villain. And I don't think it did too well at the box office. Maybe Matt can correct me on this, but I don't know. Matt, if you're watching this, buddy, maybe you can kind of give me some box office figures on that one. But I do know Kickboxer is a really fun movie, just like Bloodsport. I mean, Van Damme, he goes through a ton of training. The end of it is just amazing. The final battle between him and Tong Po. I mean, what can I say? This is just one of those movies. If you like martial arts and Van Damme is one of your people, I mean, if most of you out there have probably seen Expendables 2, of course, but if you want to see Van Damme kick some major ass, watch his stuff from the 80s and to the mid-90s. That's when he was really kicking ass and taking names.
Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
I got that from my mom.
Love Pee-wee.
I did too.
I watched the show. I've seen all the movies. I love Pee-wee.
I like that one better than the second movie, though. The one where he joins... The second one's the one where he joins the circus. Big Top Pee-wee.
Yeah, that's actually where the circus comes... a storm, and he's... It blows into his lab area.
Yeah, I remember now.
And he's living in a town full of cranky old people.
So I saw that when I was like 6 or 7, I think.
Yeah. But the premises of this is Pee-wee's bike is missing. He's going over across the United States trying to find it.
Yeah.
That was funny. I felt some parts were like funnier than others. Like the one he goes to the pet shop after he gets his bike back and...
Yeah. Comes out with the handfuls of snakes. Ah!
falls down, and ambulance comes to him and goes, "There's still some goldfish in there."
Yeah.
Passes out.
One cool thing about this movie that a lot of you may know, but there may be some of you who watch our channel that don't know this. This was actually director Tim Burton's very first feature film. And he did a pretty amazing job with it. I mean, to work with a talent like Pee Wee Herman, you know, before the scandal in the 90s, when he was still huge with Pee Wee's Playhouse and all that. I mean, it's just a fun movie to watch. I mean, it makes you laugh. I mean, you're on the edge of your seat for some moments. It's just an all-around fun movie.
Oh, let's not forget, he came back. He won TV Land's Pop Culture Award. And he came back in this for a Broadway thing.
He also came back in that Johnny Depp movie, Blow.
Yep. So he's pretty much, he sells a Broadway show, I think, and people
still pay to see him.
Oh yeah. I would go
The
see
fans supported him during that scandal.
Oh yeah. And that was a big scandal.
What do we got? Oh, 2 minutes? Okay. I think we are going to switch our media chips now, since there's only 2 minutes left on this chip. So, you all hang in there, and we will be right back. Hey YouTube, we are back, and we left off with Chris's next show off, so I'm gonna leave him to it.
Stripes.
Ah, this is a classic.
Never saw it.
I've heard a lot about it from a couple people, my mom included. Sean Atonement, of course, he's told me a lot about it. I saw clips of it on out of the 80s. When my mom burned this tape to DVD, I practically begged her to give me the tape so I could watch it. But now there's an extended cut DVD that I'm wanting to get my hands on.
Doctor. Some of us on Doctor.
Oh no, that is Spies Like Us.
Yeah? I've never seen the movie. So.
No, this one is, That's the Fact, Jack!
It's not very catchy.
Well, for the time it was, you gotta remember that movie came out in 81. Back to more Van Damme stuff I have here. Lionheart. Now, this is another one I got into because of my mom. It was one that came out right after Kickboxer, but it's another one where... Oh, excuse me. He's like... I don't know, he's like another street fighter. Like an underground fighter, only this time he's trying to help out his brother's family. And this was a really entertaining one. It's one that I grew up with. It's one I loved. It's another one I begged for the tape of when my mom got the DVD, because I'm a Van Damme fan, and a lot of people know that. Most people who don't know me don't know that, because, you know, you see our videos, a lot of what you see is like horror and stuff like that. You know, people wouldn't think that I would be into action like this, but truth is, I am. I mean, martial arts, I just find it so entertaining. It's, I don't know, I mean, the way the fights are, I don't know if, the fights are probably choreographed as far as I know, but I know Van Damme does have a lot of input on his own fight scenes, so that just makes it that much better.
Yoko and John. John and Yoko, a love story.
That is supposed to be the true story of John Lennon and Yoko Ono post the Beatles.
I can honestly give a less of a fuck.
Well, you're not a Beatles fan, so you wouldn't.
Yeah, so. Plus, I find her really annoying.
I'm a Beatles fan, and even I find her annoying, okay?
I heard her sing.
I blame her for the breakup of the Beatles in the first place.
Okay, first of all, they were having problems long before she came along. Just because she was there doesn't make it her fault. Henceforth, the Yoko factor.
Yoko factor my ass. If she hadn't come into the picture, John would have never left the band.
And yet you have no proof that she was the cause. if fans want to blame something for something, they'll so she was the
There was
cause.
always different causes. I mean, Paul was with Linda. George was seeing somebody.
So why don't you blame Linda or George's wife?
Some fans blame them all.
Well, there you go. And
I'm not a fan who blames them all because, I mean, Paul and Linda McCartney, they went on to form, you know, Paul McCartney and Wings.
So you gotta stop blaming Yoko Ono for the breakup. They were having problems like years before she came to the picture.
I understand that, but you tried telling that to more rabid Beatles fans like my mother, for instance.
I'm telling them right now. Stop blaming Yoko. She was there. That's it. You dumbasses. Go on.
Okay. Before I lose my train of thought. Van Damme in Death Warrant. This one is actually one of my mom's favorites. She got this tape for Christmas one year, and then I think I found her the DVD, so this was another tape I begged for my collection, because it's kind of like Stallone's movie Lock Up. It's Van Damme in prison, only Van Damme's going undercover to find out about a series of murders, and he's got this attorney who poses his wife, and then he's got an inmate who actually helps him out, and of course it's another one where he does a lot of fighting, which is just awesome. But this is another one where the final battle with the main villain, I think the dude's called Sandman in this one. No reference to the Spider-Man Sandman. Don't think that. But this guy is just psychotic. I mean, and Van Damme just kicks his ass. It's amazing to watch.
Caddyshack. Never saw it.
Classic.
Roger Dangerfield, Chevy Chase, Bill Murray, and Ted Knight.
That.
And golfers.
Yeah. Bill Murray blowing up a whole golf course to kill one gopher.
That's all I know about that.
The Baby Ruth in the pool. Spalding, no! Daddy! I love that movie. One more Van Damme movie, and I did find this a couple months ago on a resale shop hunt. It is Nowhere to Run. Now, this is another one that my mom kind of turned me on to, because she had it recorded when I was younger, and I had seen it on TV probably quite a few years ago, but was never able to find it. I think the DVD of it's out of print. I'm not exactly sure on that, but this is the one where he's an escaped prisoner, and he helps out Rosanna Arquette's character, who's trying to save her home and her farmland from this greedy developer. And of course, the police are after Van Damme. This guy's hired men are after him. It becomes like most of Van Damme's movies, a fight, like it says on the back, a fight for survival. This is just one that is just really great, and it's one, if you haven't seen it, I would personally recommend it.
Yeah. Yellow Submarine.
Oh gosh. Where do I begin on this one?
You can do all the talking.
And give it here. Basically, this movie, if I had it on DVD, it would be with my Ralph Bakshi stuff, Family Guy, stuff like that. Because it's more for adults than it is for kids, even though it's rated G. I'll put it this way. This movie is like a 90-minute long acid trip. And I'm not a drug user. I'll admit that openly. I don't do anything like that. I mean, there may have been some early videos where you've seen me smoking cigarettes, but that's all I do. And I'll put it this way. That's all my audience is going to know about. But this is just a really fun movie. It's an animated movie. And you get the Beatles, and they're on a quest to save this place called Pepperland from this group called the Blue Meanies. And Oh my gosh, I can't even begin to describe how trippy and awesome this movie is. Where's my go? Oh, excuse me. Now next up I have one of my favorite comedies from when I was younger. It's Martin Lawrence and Tim Robbins in Nothing to Lose. Now, Tim Robbins, as we all know, from The Shawshank Redemption, and Martin Lawrence from Bad Boys. And of course, Tim Robbins' character, he's having trouble in his career. He's having problems in his marriage because he thinks his wife's cheating on him. And of course, Martin Lawrence tries to carjack him. He locks the doors on Martin Lawrence's character and takes him for this crazy, crazy ride. It's like a whole, I don't know, it's like Bad Boys, but not at the same time because they're not cops. But it's like one of those really cool, like, crime spree type comedies. It's another one I would recommend, especially if you like Martin Lawrence or Tim Robbins, or even if you like both of them. This is a fun movie to actually see these two great actors together in one movie.
I have the American Graffiti movies here.
More from my mother, since she got the DVD set.
I've seen the American Graffiti in U.S. History class. It's a good movie.
It is a good movie.
And I never saw this one.
Mom says this one's just as good.
But I don't see the point of making this one since they had like obvious finales to these characters.
I didn't see the point either, but I think what they tried to do with the second one is show them in the 60s instead of during the end of the 50s. Because according to what Mom's told me,
this is the early 60s in this one.
Yeah, like, I think this one takes place in 61.
62.
Yeah, 62, and then this one, it's around the time of Vietnam and all that. His character goes to Vietnam, Toad, and he tries all these things to get out. I mean, he shoots himself in the foot. I don't even remember all the things that he does to get out, but there's just so much that he tries to get out, and he just cannot get out. It's just hilarious and funny to watch.
What's the girl in the white convertible? I think it was Susan Sarandon. Not Susan Sarandon.
Suzanne Summers
character.
Yep, she was the one in the white T-Bird that Richard Dreyfuss wanted.
Did you get her?
Yes. He did finally find her at the end of the movie. Spoiler alert.
All right.
Ooh. Okay, these next few, I'll star Whoopi Goldberg, who is one of my favorite comedians and one of my favorite comedy actresses. And this first one is Eddie. Now, this is the one where she wins a halftime contest, and for winning that halftime contest, she's made honorary coach of the New York Knicks for a game, but then that leads her into getting the head coaching job. And it's got a lot of real NBA people in it, and it's just a really funny movie to watch a woman handling these big basketball players who are like superstars, and they've all got their own egos, their own problems, whatnot. It's just a really entertaining movie, and it's worth a look. I'll put it that way. It is worth a look.
What's love got to do with it? Awesome, awesome movie.
Very awesome.
Is it based on her book?
Yes.
It's based on her book about her early life to like the present.
To her comeback. Because that's when this ends.
Yeah, the present for this movie.
Yeah.
And talk about her relationship with Ike Turner.
He was brutal to her. The book, though, it's worse.
Yep. And didn't he die?
Yes.
Of like a drug overdose or something like that?
I think it was a heroin overdose. I'm not too sure on that.
No, let's just call it a drug overdose. Cover all the bases.
Yeah. Now I have another Whoopi Goldberg movie here. It is Sister Act 2. Now you may be wondering why I don't have Sister Act 1, but it's because my mom didn't care for this one as much as the first one, so I think that's why she gave it to me and then kept the first one for a while. But then she ended up getting that 2-pack on DVD, and she gave the tape of the first one away to another friend when she knew I wanted it to go with this one, because I love these movies. You know, I'm not the biggest fan of nuns. I mean, I've seen stuff like the Blues Brothers and that whole thing with the penguin. And, I mean, I've never been to Catholic school, but the stories I've heard about nuns, they frighten me. And I think this movie just took it in a more, I guess you could say, musical and lighthearted direction. Plus, you got a lot of good people besides Whoopi Goldberg. I mean, you've got Kathy Najimy, who a lot of you may know as Peggy Hill, or may have seen her in Hocus Pocus riding the vacuum cleaner. And, I know you would know this, the Mother Superior. Professor McGonagall.
Yes.
Her real name. Maggie Smith, that's it. But yeah, Maggie Smith's in here as the Mother Superior, and a lot, like I said, a lot of you may know her as Professor McGonagall from the Harry Potter movies, but I think in these movies, she's a really interesting character to kind of observe. I mean, having to deal with Whoopi, or as they call her in the movie, Sister Mary Clarence, and of course, the first one, it's just unbridled chaos and fun, but then by the time this one rolls around, the Mother Superior and Whoopi Goldberg's character have become really good friends, which, of course, most of you may know, of course, by the end of the first one. But Sister Act 2, it's another one I enjoy, and it's another one that I would really recommend.
Purple Rain Prince.
Oh, classic. I don't know what else to say about it, but it's Prince. What can I say? I'm a Prince fan. I love his music. I love this movie. I don't know what else to say. I'll put it that way.
Explain the thing you did.
What thing? Oh, you gotta remember, back when this movie came out, Prince was all the rage. You gotta remember, we were just babies.
You gotta remember, we're still babies.
Exactly.
That's a weird sentence. I don't remember anything as a baby. If I did, I'd be Charlie Star for life.
I just look back on all of it based on like the movies and all that. That's how I look back on it. You know, I say, I was a baby when this movie came out, and people look at me like, what?
I'd rather not think about that sometimes. I miss so much. So it's your turn.
Okay. Next up I have here, this is Ghost. It's got Patrick Swayze, Demi Moore, and Whoopi Goldberg in her Academy Award winning role for Best Supporting Actress. Now, this is, I want to say, probably an American classic. It's like one of the great tearjerkers out there, because Patrick Swayze, even though he's died, he's trying his hardest to save his fiancée from dying, because one of his associates was like embezzling a bunch of money, and he gets Whoopi Goldberg, who's a psychic, to help stop him. And this is just a really good movie. I mean, it's got a bit of laughter, you know, you got a bit of romance, a bit of, you know, the supernatural adventure. It's, I would equal it to a roller coaster ride, I'll put it that way. It's that fun of a movie. And it is one that it may be a chick flick, and me being a guy, you know, I shouldn't enjoy the chick flicks, but this is one I enjoy.
That's a good movie. Ghost.
Ghost? Yeah.
Terms of Endearment.
That's a good movie, too.
People cry at the ending. I did not.
I did.
I just sat there eating popcorn.
Well, that movie was like Steel Magnolias to me.
That's also a movie that never made me cry.
You never cried during Steel Magnolias?
I rarely cried during a movie. Rarely.
Wow. I never knew that about you.
Only time I cried was when Zia ended.
I should have known that was coming.
And Buffy. A couple tears came up then. But yeah.
Basically, Terms of Endearment spans the 30-year relationship between a mother and daughter, Shirley MacLaine and Deborah Winger. And I don't really want to give away the ending, but if you've seen it, you know the ending. And, you know, I cried, he didn't. Leave it at that.
I'm a monster.
And you're over it.
Oh, very over it.
I have here another Whoopi Goldberg movie. This is Fatal Beauty. Now, this is another one that I got from my mom because I think she burned it onto DVD. And this is one where she's a cop and she's trying to stop a poisoned shipment of cocaine that's been turning up over LA because it's been killing people, and she's trying to trace the poison coke to this he's like a business tycoon, and this guy has one of his security guards keep an eye on her, and of course he ends up falling in love with her, and she wonders if it's genuine or if it's like he's playing her just to get a check. But it's an emotional movie. I mean, it's action-packed, but emotional at the same time. And it's even got some comedy in it. It's a really interesting movie. It's from Tom Holland, the director of Fright Night and Child's Play. I think this actually came in between those two. But if you've never seen this, give it a look. I think you might like it.
The Rose. Bette Miller.
Her debut.
Yep. It's loosely based on Janis Joplin.
Yeah.
No, she plays her rockers off, spiraling out of control.
Yeah, she was a drug addict, alcoholic. You name it, she pretty much did it. You know, she was coming out of the hippie generation and all that.
Yep. And of course, it has that infamous The Rose song.
Another song my mom used to play to death. But then again, this is a tape I got from her because I liked the movie.
I saw it a couple times. It's not too bad.
It is a good movie. You know, a lot of people say that. Some people say it. Sometimes the debut role can be the best role. Sometimes you can be wrong.
Right.
And now for my last Whoopi Goldberg movie. I think this is one everybody knows about, but it's Steven Spielberg's The Color Purple. Now, this was Whoopi Goldberg's debut, and it's actually a decade-spanning story of Whoopi Goldberg's character, and her name is Celie. And she ends up having to marry Danny Glover's character, who she has to call Mr. And a lot of their narration in this is Celie talking to God, and she makes friends with two different women, and they kind of stand by her side, and in the end she finally gets up the courage to leave Mr. and, you know, start life on her own and kind of learn what life is along the way. It's a really great movie. It's also got Oprah Winfrey, Ray Dawn Chong. There's just a lot of great people in this. Whoopi actually got a Best Actress Golden Globe and an Oscar nomination for this. Now, for the Oscars, in my opinion, she got snubbed. because she did an excellent job in this movie. I don't see why she didn't deserve the Oscar, but you gotta remember, 1985, Meryl Streep, Robert Redford, Out of Africa, swept the Oscars that year. This movie, totally snubbed.
Beaches.
That is my favorite Bette Midler movie.
Apparently it's about, I think it's about like two friends from two different classes. That grew up together.
Well, they didn't exactly grow up together, but they met on a beach when they were kids, and they wrote back and forth for years, and then the preppy one comes to see Bette Midler's character, ends up moving in with her, and their friendship just becomes stronger and stronger as the movie goes on.
They still grew up together. They grew up
together. Yeah, you could say that.
Yeah, they still grew up together, but I don't remember much. One's the Bette Midler's character is a singer.
And she's like a lounge singer, but she ends up like a big star by the time the movie ends.
And the other one, I don't know, is just a housewife?
No, actually.
I have not seen this in forever.
At first, she was an attorney with the ACLU. Then she got pregnant and had to quit her job. Found out her husband was cheating on her. I could give you the whole basis of that movie. I've seen it so many times, but I don't think we have that much time.
No.
I'm going to get into a couple Eddie Murphy movies here. I think, yeah, I've only got two, but The Distinguished Gentleman. Now, this is one where he's a con man who runs for Congress and wins. Now, he finds that with the power of his position, he can get cash out of anybody, and he doesn't have to break the law. And it's just really funny to watch him do all these different kind of cons and get all this money because he's a congressman and, you know, make the big bucks. But it's been a while since I've seen this, so I don't remember if it all comes crashing down for him or not. But this is one I'm going to have to give another look. I mean, Matt Rambo Rat for Life, it's one of his, I think it's one of his favorite Eddie Murphy movies, but it's one that I saw when I was a kid, and oh my gosh, I was like, I don't know how many years ago I saw this movie, but I found it in a resale shop, brand new. It wasn't in the package, but the seal here wasn't broken, so you knew it was a brand new tape. And I only paid $1.50 for this, believe it or not, and that's a good deal for a new tape nowadays.
Mermaids.
Ah, good Cher movie.
And Winona Ryder.
Yep.
Don't know. Probably something bad happens in it.
Oh, you're referring to probably like the last 20 minutes when Christina Ricci's character nearly drowns.
That's her?
Yeah. It was her first movie.
Okay.
This was before Addams Family.
But yeah, I never saw this movie either.
That is a good movie. That's one you need to watch.
Okay.
Trust me, if you like Cher, you'll like that movie.
I'll watch it one of these days.
One of my favorite Eddie Murphy movies is Coming to America. Now in this one, he's a prince of an African country who comes to America in search of a bride. And of course he thinks the best place to find himself a queen is Queens, New York. And he ends up, him and his best friend, played by Arsenio Hall, they end up working in this like McDonald's ripoff place. I think it's called McDowell's or something like that. But the one part I can never forget about this movie is after they first moved to Queens in their apartment, and Eddie Murphy's standing out on the balcony. "Good morning, my neighbors!" And you hear someone from down below go, "Hey, fuck you!" Eddie Murphy, he just gets all excited. "Yes! Fuck you too!" And I also think this was the first of Eddie Murphy's movies to feature him playing a ton of different characters, kind of like with Vampire in Brooklyn. But I actually think this one did it a lot better. And another thing that I can never forget is Eric LaSalle. It's before ER, and he's got the Jerry curl like most black men had in the 80s. And they go to meet his family, right? And his family has so much Jerry curl stuff in their hair that it leaves like 3 different huge wet spots on the furniture. It's just hilarious. I mean, why somebody would want to do something like that to their hair is beyond me. But then again, I'm going to share something a little personal with you guys. Before my mom had me, she had a Jerry curl. My mom's a white woman. Think about this.
I'm not going to think about it. I'm just talking about Private Benjamin.
Another good movie.
It's basically Goldie Hawn in this movie, and her wealthy husband dropped dead in their wedding night.
Yep, while they were doing it.
And so basically she joins the army. And this one commander really pisses her off, and she does bad things to her.
Yeah, but they're funny at the same time.
Yep.
I like the part where she's trying to break out and the alarms go off and the dogs start barking. They get the captain. She comes out with a flashlight, points it at Goldie Hawn. "Benjamin, you are not fit to wear that uniform." Goldie Hawn looks at her and goes, "No shit!" This next one is another one that I got from my mom when she got the DVD. And this is a cult classic as far as I know, but it is Harold and Maude. Now, this is one I've heard a lot about from my mom, and it's about this young man who's obsessed with, like, suicide, and he comes up with all these funny ways of faking his death, and he meets this older, I will say older because she is an older woman, and this lady just finds nothing wrong with life. She loves waking up every day knowing that, you know, life is going to be good. But if you've seen this movie, you know the ending, so it is kind of sad at the end. But this is one I haven't watched yet, but it's one I'm looking forward to watching based on what I've been told.
This is very controversial too.
Yeah, because of the age bracket.
Yep.
Because the guy was in his 20s and the woman was like in her 80s or something like that.
Yard. Overboard with Goldie Hawn and
Kurt Russell.
Basically about this Kurt Russell worked with this rich woman in a yacht, and she falls overboard later on.
She ends up getting amnesia.
Kurt Russell takes her home. She never left her kids.
Yep.
Basically, and it pretty much, she gets her memory back, and he finds out he really does love her. Another reason her husband was not going to look for her at all until her mother called, and apparently she's richer than him.
That would explain the attitude she had.
Yep. And apparently there's some kind of talking about them having a baby, and mother said, "You have a baby, you won't be the baby anymore."
Mm-hmm.
So that's that.
Okay, where am I at here? Oh, I see where I'm at. I'm now at...
Sure. I thought you show all 3.
Yeah, I can do that. If I can get them...
Just hand me one, I'll hold it up.
Okay. And we are now at... Let's see here. Oh, wait, in order. Here we go. The RoboCop trilogy. Now, I think this is just an action-packed series. The first 2 are my favorites. 3 was the first one I saw, but it was the one that got me into RoboCop, made me want to go back and watch 1 and 2, which turns out I love them even more. You know, RoboCop's gone through so much over the years, and this remake I've heard about, I am not pleased with it. I mean, from the stuff I've heard about it, it's just gonna suck, and it's like they're destroying another classic. I mean, you have a remake of Carrie coming out this spring. And think about that. You know, you're getting a 14, 15-year-old who we last saw as a vampire to play an iconic role that Sissy Spacek played in the 70s and did a lot better.
What vampire did she play?
Who, the new Carrie?
Yeah.
Abby and Let Me In.
Okay.
The one about the 12-year-old vampire.
Great. But you know what? Honestly, about remakes, after Nightmare, it can't get any worse than that one.
April Fool's Day.
I stand by my comment about Friday Nightmare on Elm Street being the worst remake.
I don't know what remake I could say that about because I'm mixed on a lot of them.
And plus, you know, Internet tends to lie and twist things around.
I mean, Nightmare I do agree with you about, but there have been a couple remakes that have been worse than that.
Plus, let's not, don't worry too much what they're saying about RoboCop and YouTube because they tend to get their information off the internet.
Most of them go to IMDb.
Yeah,
or
you can't really trust.
I know, that's a site you can't really trust.
Or Wikipedia a lot of times. So, until, like, it actually comes out.
But I mean, there's been, like, pictures from the set, there's been parts of the script leaked.
Oh, trust me, usually parts of the scripts are leaked that won't be in the movie. Because they will do this. They'll write different scenes, and if one got leaked out, they'll probably either be the fake scene or a real one. You just never know.
That was probably why when they filmed Scream 2 and 3, they did a lot of stuff, like, in black.
Right.
So that it couldn't, because I remember when they were filming Scream 2, that there was a lot of scenes that they hadn't shot yet that were leaked onto the internet.
Right, and TV shows like 24 have done like 4 different, like 3 different alternate endings, and they didn't let anyone know until like the night it premiered which one it was. So I wouldn't worry too much about the remake if it's being bad or not. Just wait till the movie comes out, keep open mind, because probably a lot of stuff they're getting is probably fake.
Well, I'll tell you one remake that just came out that I cannot keep an open mind about.
What?
Total Recall with Colin Farrell.
I'll keep an open mind with that one.
I saw it, didn't like it. I'm a fan of Schwarzenegger's.
I like Colin Farrell and Schwarzenegger.
Colin Farrell's okay, but I just don't think that a PG-13 remake of Total Recall was like the right move for him.
Then again, there probably is an unrated version out.
There is.
So, no worries. I think
Is it you or me?
Me.
Okay.
We got going the remakes that we just. This is The First Wife's Club with Bette Midler, Goldie Hawn, and
Diane Keaton.
Basically about these frustrated housewives that come together.
Yep, they all get jilted for younger women, and so they decide to hit the X's where it hurts, in the wallet.
Yep. And one of my favorite scenes is one in a gay bar.
Yep.
And Diane Keaton finds her daughter there, and she's fine with it. And Bette Midler sits down, and this woman's crying. She's like, "What's wrong? My girlfriend left me for a skinnier girl."
I like the part where they're trying to get the dirt on Bette Midler's husband, and they have to go up in that them window washing things.
Oh yeah, I can't remember.
It's like a scaffold or something like that.
Scaffold lift, whatever.
Yeah.
It goes up, it goes down.
Yeah.
But I just remember like that scene, and Diane Keaton's confronting her husband. Her daughter is working for them. She goes, "Oh, by the way, Daddy, I'm a lesbian."
A big one. Yeah, I remember that. Okay, next up for me is the Die Hard trilogy. Now, this is the original trilogy, which was before Live Free or Die Hard in 2007, and before they went to the PG-13 rating, which a lot of action movies seem to get nowadays. But these three, I think they're really fun. You know, Bruce Willis, he makes a great action hero for these. And, you know, he does a good job at stopping these terrorists that threaten him in these movies. I mean, it's just amazing to watch him in action. And to be honest, these are probably the only Bruce Willis movies I will watch, because I am not big into him as much as I liked Pulp Fiction, even though he wasn't exactly a major character in Pulp Fiction, but still, he wasn't the character I was too fond of.
This is Eddie Griffin's Dysfunctional Traditional Family.
Dysfunctional Family. It's a stand-up thing.
Yeah, I don't really like him, so.
I think he's funny. Some movies he's done better in than others.
Yeah, he's not one of my favorite people in the world, so. He's...
Yeah.
I
think this is the one Schwarzenegger movie in my collection, which I'm shocked at. Actually, no, this isn't the only one because I have some on DVD. But this is my only one on VHS. And it is Last Action Hero. And this is from the director of Predator and Die Hard. And it's Schwarzenegger in a PG-13 action movie. Probably because they wanted this movie to appeal to kids, because it centers around a kid who gets sucked into one of Arnold's movies. And it's just really funny to see this kid explaining to Arnold that he's a movie character when Arnold thinks he's like a real life person. But I think that my favorite scene in this is in the beginning where the kid is sitting in the theater and he's watching the movie, and you see this cameo from Tina Turner as the mayor. But it's one that I really like and enjoy. But I'm going to have to stop for right now because we have to switch chips one more time. But don't worry, we're almost done. We're coming to the home stretch. So hang in there and we'll be right back once again.
Andre?
Yeah.
You really step back.
And we're back here with you. Sorry, but we had to switch chips again. And I think we are going to continue. I think it is Chris's turn this time around, so have at it.
The Queens of Comedy. Only one person that recognizes this is Monique.
She's funny, but so is she. Some more.
I have to watch this. But this is pretty much, same thing, pretty much the same thing, but Kings of Comedy, but with women.
Yep.
That's pretty much what it is.
But it's a fun watch. Okay, let's see. Next up for me, I have Michael Douglas in Falling Down. Now, I saw bits and pieces of this movie on I Love the 90s, which really made me want to see it. And I've never been able to find the DVD, so I figured finding a VHS would be the next best thing. But this VHS in particular, my VCR just spits it right back out. I haven't tried it out here in the living room yet. I'm not sure if I should, but it wouldn't hurt to try. But one of these days, maybe I will. And hopefully I may just give a review of this. It's certainly one I'd like to try and review.
Blue Comedy Tour.
I'm not going to say anything on this one because I like it. I'm just going to let you go on.
Oh, good. Thank you. Only person who actually had humor in this was Bill.
I agree there.
Jeff got annoying. Ron is just Ron. And Larry, oh, fucking Larry.
I don't know what people see in him.
I want to hurt him. I hate that get her done. Get her done. It's like, what have you get her done, you bastard? You get your own TV show, you get a commercial. You are annoying. Go away, you fucking bastard.
Ron White was okay. I like the part where he's...
Not done.
No, I know, but I was just making my own point.
Okay, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that I like the part where Ron White's talking about getting kicked out of a bar in New York City. You're like, Mr. White, you're being charged with drunk in public. I was like, hey. I was drunk in a bar. They threw me into public. I don't want to be drunk in public. I want to be drunk in a bar, which is perfectly legal. Arrest them.
Anyhow, Larry, go away. If you hear Gary Dunn one more time, I swear to God, I'm going to stick my rat on you. And he doesn't like you either.
Better yet, what about my dog?
Please. Rats are more effective killing machines. They can be really quiet and they don't go. You go. Ah! Then. La la la. That's all I have to say about that bastard. I probably made a new enemy today.
Not me, I'll tell you that much. But I have to agree with you that really the only guy who has a true sense of humor on there is Bill Engvall.
You know, those would be kind of funny if someone subscribes to us, knows someone who's related to Larry, and they find out, and they're like, who's that bastard?
I know, we'd be getting a strike on our account, be taken down to the 15-minute limit. It happened to Matt.
No, I'm pretty much sure he's like, I want that Buffyxenaman's head on a platter. I'm pretty sure I made a new celebrity. I made a celebrity enemy finally. I always thought it would be like Elizabeth Hasselbeck though.
They'll go for the strike thing first, trust me.
I always thought Elizabeth Hasselbeck was my celebrity feud or my celebrity enemy, but the bitch has.
I don't like Hasselbeck either, plain and simple.
But I guess the bitch has no balls. We're gone.
Okay, next up, I have the Tony Scott directed and Quentin Tarantino written True Romance. This stars Christian Slater and Patricia Arquette, and it's kind of like a 90s Bonnie and Clyde, where they end up falling in love, and of course they find a suitcase full of cocaine, which they plan to take from Detroit, where this movie starts, to Los Angeles. And of course they get into a bunch more shit out there. But this movie's got an all-star cast. I mean, you got Dennis Hopper, Val Kilmer, Gary Oldman, Brad Pitt, and Christopher Walken, along with a ton more people. If you've seen this movie, then you know about the scene with James Gandolfini, and that scene is brutal.
Baby's Kids.
I used to love that movie as a kid. Family Video was selling it, I swiped it up.
I saw it in elementary school.
That was around the time I saw it.
I don't remember much about it. Just know this guy seeing this woman who takes her friend's kids.
Yep.
And he has a son of his own.
No, that one is her son.
Okay.
The other three are her friend's kids.
Alright. So that's pretty much all I know about that.
But the ones that look like thugs, they're little terrorists, put it that way.
Yep.
And next I have here, let's see if I can get these to look right. Lethal Weapon 1 and 2. Again, part of the time period before Mel Gibson went crazy, anti-Jew, whatever you want to call it.
A psychotic bastard.
Yeah, this is when he was still a fairly decent actor in my opinion, because these movies, they were fun, they were action-packed, you know. I mean, him and Danny Glover, they made an excellent team, and then by the time part 2 comes around, you're adding in Joe Pesci, who's a witness they're trying to protect, and it just adds to even more insanity. This one is probably my favorite, but I love the first one because of the villain that Gary Busey plays. And when you look at Gary Busey today compared to stuff like this and Point Break, he looks way different. If you don't believe me, Watch the show World's Dumbest on True TV. They have him on there a lot. He looks weird and fucked up. I will put it that way.
Gary Busey?
Yes.
Oh god, he's been like that forever. Especially when he gives us little tidbits that just like goes on and
like the stuff at the end.
Yeah, it's like, oh, shut up. The big chill.
I haven't finished watching that yet, but what I've seen of it was pretty interesting.
I never saw it, so.
It's about this group of college roommates whose friend dies, and they all get back together to throw some kind of party in his memory. But you got people in there. You got Jeff Goldblum. You got Glenn Close. Jo Beth Williams from Poltergeist, of course. Kevin Kline's in there.
Mary Kay Place.
I don't know much about her.
And
Jo Beth Williams, I mentioned her. She's the one from Poltergeist, remember? The mom?
Oh, yeah. There she is.
Yep. Next up, I have what is possibly my favorite Spike Lee movie. It is Do the Right Thing. This is one of those movies, it's just really interesting to watch. It's funny, it's dramatic, it's a character study. I mean, you have all these different races of people in one area of Brooklyn. I think, yeah, it's the Bed-Stuy area where Chris Rock grew up. And you do see a lot of that on his show, Everybody Hates Chris. But I think this movie, it's just really entertaining. And it's one that holds your attention. And it does make you think after you watch it. Because, like a lot of people say, Spike Lee leaves a lot of unanswered questions in his movies. And it just leaves you to wonder. It's like, what did I witness? What did I see? What am I supposed to take from this? You're left with so many questions, it's like you have to go back and watch it again, you know?
Is it One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest?
That's a good one.
It's a decent movie. There's parts that I like, there's parts that I find boring.
It's got its ups and downs.
The part I liked was at the end, where the Indian guy finally had put him out of his misery and ripped up this water fountain.
Which Daria ripped off. Remember?
I'm trying to think.
Is it fall yet?
Oh yeah, this John T. Martino.
I'm going on a hike!
Yeah, he throws this through a window and he escapes. It's a decent movie to watch. I watched for psychology class.
I watched it with my mom.
Oh, psychology class, we had to watch it.
I didn't take psychology, so...
Yeah.
But I'm surprised we didn't have to watch that in sociology.
Nope, we watched about that one guy who escaped like 6 times.
What movie was that?
No idea.
Because the only one I remember from sociology, and I was hooked on it after that, was 7.
Oh, I remember that one.
Next up, I have Sylvester Stallone and Kurt Russell in Tango and Cash. Now, I have heard a tiny bit about this movie. It's another buddy cop movie, kind of like Lethal Weapon, but only this time, I think the thing with this one is that these two get put behind bars, and they engineer a breakout and go after the guy who set them up, and I think the guy that set him up is actually Jack Palance, who a lot of you early 80s people may know of from, I think it was the original Ripley's Believe It or Not series back then. But this is one, like if anybody, Matt, OCP Communications, if you guys can give me any info on this movie before I go into it blindly, I would really appreciate the help.
Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
That's what I got from my mom.
This is a shiny cover. Special Collector's Edition shiny cover.
It's like about aliens or something.
It's
like one of the few movies about friendly aliens.
Yeah, they come to military base of all places. And they communicate with it through music.
Yeah, like the Simon Game.
Yep. Didn't like Family Guy get the movie wrong?
I'm not even sure if I saw that episode.
It's like doing a rip-off of Misery. So he's like the Catholic-based character, and Brian was the guy. And she was complaining about this book ending and saying third counters blew up a spaceship, a billion-dollar spaceship, and turns out this guy in the other side of the world built another billion-dollar spaceship. Is that what's that really about? A spaceship?
It was about a spaceship coming to Earth. Yes, I do know that much.
Oh, so I gotta talk to someone about that.
The person to ask about that movie would be my mom.
And also, the person that asked about the Family Guy thing was someone on YouTube. I don't know. It's like I probably get my facts fucked up.
Hey, I do too. Don't feel bad.
Oh, alright. I don't feel bad. I get over it quickly.
And next up for me, this was one of my favorites when I was younger, but it's Sylvester Stallone and Wesley Snipes in Demolition Man. And it's about this cop and this criminal who get cryogenically frozen and are awakened 35 years later in the year 2032 because Wesley Snipes' character has escaped and they need Sylvester Stallone, an actual 90s cop, to deal with Wesley Snipes, who's a 90s criminal. And of course, this future, it's all about peace. The cops don't know how to handle it, and which is why they have to unthaw Sylvester Stallone. And you've also got people in here like Sandra Bullock, Rob Schneider, who am I thinking of? Oh shoot, I'm thinking Benjamin Bratt, that's who it is. But the person who did the designs on this is actually the same person who designed for Blade Runner, which I actually think is kind of cool because Blade Runner has quickly become one of my favorite older sci-fi movies. It's just one that I loved, and I still love it, and I probably love it as much as this one.
Next I have here is Shrek 1 and 2. I'm not a big fan of the Shrek movies, but it's about an ogre and a donkey becoming friends. And,
I like them.
And Princess Fiona and stuff like that. So
I just haven't seen the last two yet. Those are the only two they put on VHS.
I heard they're overextending the series.
Part 4 was supposed to be the last one. Then there was the Puss in Boots spin-off.
Just I understand that after like the second one, they just were like stretching.
They were.
So
they had to keep coming up with ideas because the fans wanted more.
No, you know what? They keep saying that, but I never see the proof of the fans wanting more.
Well, it's because the Shrek movies mainly appealed to little kids.
Alright. Oh, of course they had that Christmas special.
And you know, if a little kid likes something, they're gonna want more of it. Look at The Land Before Time.
Ugh.
They're up to like 13 or 14 sequels since 1988 when the original came out.
Yeah, those are the kids, people. Of course they're gonna want more. They always want more. I wanted more Thundercats. Did I get that? No, not till like I was 27.
Well, look at it this way. We want more horror. All we get is shit.
In remakes.
Yeah. Shitty sequels and crappy remakes. Next up I have here, this is probably one of my favorite mob movies. It is the Martin Scorsese directed Goodfellas. This stars Robert De Niro and Ray Liotta, but it's also got Joe Pesci, and this is a role that won him an Oscar. And I think one of the most memorable scenes is where, I don't know if I can do this right, but it's the part where Joe Pesci's going, what do you mean funny? Am I funny like a clown? Do I amuse you? Something like that. I mean, it's been a while since I watched this movie. I know my Joe Pesci impression is bad. That's why I don't do it, but a lot of my impressions are bad, so why even bother?
I say that every time. You just tell me to shut up. Major Pain.
This is one I like.
I remember this movie. I remember it. I just know it's about a drill sergeant who gets a psychologist to make him more sensitive towards the recruits, but comedy ensues, I guess.
Yes.
I just remember the scene. I guess I was trying to take a picture of Death's in a dress kissing him.
Yep.
He wakes up and he makes him around the campus.
Something like that. Like the barracks or something. I don't remember.
In a dress, and they're chanting.
Yep.
I remember like the little kid had like this weird dress.
Yeah.
That's kind of funny.
I like the ending of it when the deaf kid gets shaved bald, and then so does his seeing-eyed... Oh, that's right, he was blind. I always get that mixed up. Yeah. But he was blind, and both him and his seeing-eyed dog got shaved. It was hilarious. Next up, this is one that should have been in my haul from the thrift shop a couple months ago, but it is Lily Tomlin in The Incredible Shrinking Woman. Now, I think this is a spoof on The Incredible Shrinking Man, which I think was a horror movie from the 40s or 50s, but instead this is a comedy, and Lily Tomlin, I think she gets... I'm trying to remember what happens in it. She gets, like, splashed with, like, this chemical, and it, like, makes her keep shrinking. I'm not exactly sure on all the details. I mean, it's been years since I've seen this movie, but when I spotted this video, I just had to grab it up for my collection, because I knew it was one that my mom loved, and it's one that I'm hoping I can find on DVD, but I don't want it if it's going to be that burn-on-demand crap, because those are like 20 bucks a thing, and it's like, why pay 20 bucks for a DVD-R when you can go to a resale shop and pay, shoot, under $1. I paid under $1 for this because it was half off.
Don't be a menace. Society too self-central while drinking your juice in the hood.
Just say don't be a menace, it's easier.
Well,
but this is from the Wayans brothers, and it's a spoof on all the Life in the Hood movies. You know, like Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society, all those kind of movies.
That's why I had to say the rest of it. I don't confuse it with the other ones. But yeah. I never watched it.
I did. It was one of those I got into because of a certain someone. Next up, I have here Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson in White Men Can't Jump. Now, in this one, there are a pair of basketball hustlers who are conning their way across the courts of Los Angeles, and they're doing a lot of crazy stuff in order to make that paper. And of course, I think my favorite scene has to be the part where they're doing Yo Mama jokes, and I'm one of those people who kind of thinks some of those jokes are funny, but would never use them in real life because that's offensive and probably to a lot of people. And I mean, even to me. I mean, those of you who know me, you know I love my mother. Talk about my mom, sore subject, I'll put it that way. You know, I fight for my mom, let's put it that way. But I think the scenes with the Yo Mama jokes, they're just funny because they're all these classic ones from the early 90s, and in reference to beepers, you know, going outside and hearing it's chilly outside and going out and getting a bowl, and all this other funny stuff.
Lost and Delirious. About Perkins Girls' School. Perkins Girls' School, and then lesbian action later on.
Yeah, it's a lesbian themed movie, but it's got Piper Perabo, who you might know from Coyote Ugly, and then Misha Barton, who some of you might know from The OC. But they're not the ones playing the lovers. The third girl that you saw on the cover, she is the lover of Piper Perabo, and it's just one of those movies. It's dramatic. I'll say it tugs at your heartstrings. I mean, I'm a sucker for, you know, gay and lesbian themed movies. You know, I like some of the stories. You know, some of them are really interesting, some of them are true. You know, it's just really interesting to watch and learn about, especially if you were raised by gay parents like I was.
It's your turn.
Oh. This next one, it came from Sematary, and it is CFL Traditions. This is about the Stampeders, I guess. I'm not sure. I think they're from Calgary, but a lot of people, a lot of famous NFL people played in the Canadian Football League, and you know, you had people like Doug Flutie, who's really the only name I recognize on here, but I haven't watched this yet, but it's one because I like football, but I've never seen Canadian football played before. So I'd kind of like to check this out and see if there's like any explanations to the different rules and stuff like that. Maybe, Sematary, if you're watching, maybe you can explain some of the rules of Canadian football to me, because I've watched CFL a couple times on the NFL Network, and I have no idea what's going on. I mean, the NFL I can understand, no problem, but this stuff, I don't get it.
Get Real. Another gay lesbian movie type thing. It's about this guy who is in love with a jock, and they hooked secretly hook up, and things escalate out of control quickly, and they end up not being together. And his best friend is this girl who's having an affair with her driving teacher, who's a married man with like 3 kids. And yeah, it's an interesting movie. Not the best in the world, but it's interesting.
Alright, next up, I have, it's a concert video, but it's U2 Pop Mart live from Mexico City. And I don't know if you can see this cover or not, but it looks really cool and shiny and all that. But it's basically a U2 concert from Mexico City. This was during their pop tour, and this has a lot of the hits, you know. I Will Follow, New Year's Day, In the Name of Love, I Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For, Desire, Sunday Bloody Sunday, Where the Streets Have No Name, With or Without You, Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me, Mysterious Ways. Oh, just a lot of good songs on this concert. I haven't had the chance to watch this and actually check it out, but being a U2 fan, I am glad to have this in my collection.
The Chipmunk Adventure.
Oh my gosh.
An 80s movie?
Yes, 87. 80s cartoon.
Where the Chipettes and Chipmunks are racing around the world to collect these dolls. And whoever gets back first wins something.
Yep.
And turns out to be a smuggle earring.
Yep.
Probably the most famous song in this thing is The Boys and Girls of Rock and Roll. Where they're in Greece, they're dancing around and singing. And
yeah.
Oh no, it's not too bad of a movie.
I like the end of it. Well, we just cracked a huge smuggling ring. Shut up, Alvin. Okay. We'll give you half. Alvin!
I don't think the reason why they did it because Dave was going around the world for a vacation.
He was. And they wanted to go.
I remember the scene. Alvin runs in a taxi with a bag, and Dave just points his finger and slumps. I don't know.
Yeah. Actually, no, I remember how it goes. He gets in the taxi, it pulls off, you hear him yell, Alvin! Taxi backs up, door opens, he just points, Alvin just walks out, head hanging low.
Yep.
This one, like that CFL video and the U2 concert, came from Sematary. It is Hulk Hogan in No Holds Barred. Now, I've never been the biggest Hulk Hogan fan, and I do remember a rant that Matt did on this, so I'm thinking I may check that rant out so I'm not going into this completely blind and hopefully not becoming as pissed off as he was about it. But as I said, Hulk Hogan is not my favorite wrestler. Most of you who know me know my favorite wrestlers are probably Stone Cold Steve Austin, Mick Foley, The Rock, a lot of people from the Attitude Era, after Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan, he was wrestling when I was like 4 or 5 years old, and I never watched it until I was like 9 or 10, and he had already left and went to WCW, and was already doing movies like Suburban Commando, Mr. Nanny, and all that. Of course I watched those, got into them, but this one, I'm honestly not sure about. It's one that, from looking at the back of it, it's got Debo from Friday as the villain, and I don't particularly see Debo as like a wrestling villain, but I think this is one I would have to see for myself.
Kill Bill 1 and 2. One of the best action movies you can watch.
Definitely among Tarantino's best.
Basically, it's about this woman who they called the bride throughout the first movie, and she is at her wedding pregnant, and she gets the crap beat out of her by her old gang, and Bill shoots her in the head. But the instant killer puts her in a coma for about 5 years.
4 years.
4 years, and she wakes up and starts killing people. And the first person on the list was Ren. But the first person we see her kill is going to be a Fox's character.
Yep.
And then, throughout the movie, she looking for Bill, and she's killing people. She gets a sword from his old master, and there's flashbacks like to the guy with the beard. But not bad. I can't remember his name. Him.
Yeah, the one that was her master. I don't know his name.
He's the one that ripped out. Fuck. I can't do names.
L Driver.
L Driver.
Isn't she the one with the eye patch?
Yep.
Yeah, L Driver.
She ripped out her eye for disrespecting him. And she killed him with poisoned fish heads. The ending was pretty awesome. I didn't really care for the being buried alive scene.
I know.
It seemed pointless. Just for a flashback. I really liked the better she escaped in the back of the truck or something like that.
Right.
Done that same trick and jumped down and killed him.
I actually like part 1 more than I like part 2.
Me too, like the big fight scene.
Yep.
The
last hour of it is just, it's like amazing.
Oh, the one where the kid, last one, there's that kid.
Yeah. This is what you get for fucking around with the Yakuza! Now go home to your mother!
I never been spanked by a sword. I wouldn't think it wouldn't feel too good.
No, I don't think so either. Now these last two, actually, let me split them up. I'll give you one, I'll do one. Or do you want to do this one?
Doesn't matter.
Okay. Now this last one I have, it came from Shonatonin, as did the one you're going to see from Chris coming up. But this is Macaulay Culkin in The Good Son. Now, those of you who have seen Orphan, you may know about this movie, but it's basically kind of the same thing, only minus the twist at the end of Orphan, because Macaulay Culkin's like this killer kid, and only his cousin, played by Elijah Wood, really sees it. And it's like, it just keeps building and building up until the end, when you finally have the mother facing off against her own son, and then, the cousin, he's trying to get out and save her, because Macaulay Culkin wants to kill her. It's just one of those movies. You know, a lot of people say it's bad. I mean, I've heard like endless rants on this movie, but it was one that I enjoyed. I liked it.
Miracle. About the 1980 U.S. ice hockey team trying out the Olympics.
Yep.
Against the Soviet Union, and I guess this is a very big deal.
It was back then.
And yeah, it's during the Carter era.
Yep, Cold War.
So I didn't watch it. I don't like really care for hockey. So what's that?
Yep, that's it for my VHS collection. This will probably be up sometime today or tonight. It's gonna probably take me some time to get it all edited and upload because, as I'm sure you've seen, 3 chip switches. So, but this is, once again...
Wait, the shout out.
Oh!
From Easy Chair Chronicles.
Yeah, Easy Chair Chronicles. We want to say hi to you. Welcome to the YouTube movie community. We hope you have a really good time here. Anything in particular you want to say to him?
Check. Well, good luck. Keep up the good work. And people, just look, check out his video. He has like one up right now. He's in a review of the Immortals, so.
Well, he's also just starting out, like you told me, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, he's just starting out. I'm gonna check out his review of Immortals myself. I'm gonna give it a look, see what he's like, you know. But I hope he has a good time here, just like the rest of us do. But once again, it's Little Rocker Cutie 2005, also known as Andre. I'm chilling with the awesome Buffyxenaman, also known as Chris. We're telling you to enjoy life, enjoy some Skittles, enjoy some Starburst, and Chris,
eat some chicken.
and we are out.